All right, everyone, welcome back to another great episode of Let's Move Canada. We're your hosts, Dana and Luigi from the Canadian Health and the Fitness Institute. And on today's episode of Let's Move Canada, we will talk with Granny Basketball League Executive Director Michelle Clark and coach and team player Vicki Merrick about what inspires them and what being healthy means to the both of them. Now, before we introduce them both, let me start by saying that this podcast is brought to you by the Canadian Health and Fitness Institute, whose mission is to make Canada the fittest nation on earth by 2030. And to this end, of course, our podcast aims to raise awareness about physical and mental health. And now, of course, we are ready to introduce two absolutely inspiring women who decided to join us today on Let's Move Canada. And trust me, you're going to love this. So first up, please meet Michelle Clark, the Executive Director of the Granny Basketball League, a fast-growing movement that's flipping the script on aging and fitness. Now, Michelle has been with the league for over 13 years and not only leads its operations, but also hits the floor herself with the Kansas Greyhawkers. Under her leadership, this league has grown into a powerful force of fun, friendship, and physical activity among women aged 50 and up. And with her, joining us is Vicki Merrick, the trailblazer who brought Granny basketball north of the border by founding Canada's first team, the Toronto Chill. Vicki's got deep roots in basketball and a passion for community. And when she discovered the league, she knew that Toronto needed it. So now she's helping build this movement that's all about connection, joy, and staying active at any age. So today, Michelle and Vicki are here to share how Granny basketball is changing their lives, building community, and providing once and for all that it's never too late to get moving and slam dunk your way through life. Michelle and Vicki, thank you so much and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for being here. So we're going to start with a little bit of background for both of you. So please tell the audience where you're from and how you got involved with Granny Basketball League.
Hello, thanks for having me on the program. I am in Topeka, Kansas. It's about a mile west of Kansas City, just right in the center of the United States. I've been involved with Granny Basketball League since 2011, and it's been a wonderful ride.
And how about you, Vicki?
Yeah, I live in Toronto. This time around, I've been in Toronto about 10 years. I've been in and out of the city pretty much my whole life. I joined the league in January of last year, 2024. We started the Toronto Chill Canadian team here in Toronto, January of last year. And it's been a blast ever since.
Beautiful. And so very curious to know, typically at this point of the podcast, we're always so curious to know how long you've been active. Is this something that's been present since since your childhood, and how has physical activity been present throughout your life? And I think this time we could, let's give it back to Vicki. Let's hear if Vicki can kind of just guide us.
Sure. Well, man, as a kid and as a teen and as a young adult, I think I was always very involved in sports. I loved sports. I was always on the sports teams at school. I played a little, varsity basketball in college at Toronto Metropolitan back in the day, a long time ago. And, through my sort of family years, always involved in things like tennis and so on. But I did notice that there came a point where I gained a bit of weight, as one does. I guess some people do anyway. And it was a little bit hard for me to be quite as active in sport as I had been before. And in fact, when I was in my 50s, I played some pickup basketball here in Toronto for, a couple of years. But at one point I fell and I jumped and I fell and I broke an ankle. And then about a year later, I did basically the same thing, broke a wrist.
Oh,
So I was in my mid 50s, like say 56, 57. And so I just had to make a change. I couldn't do that activity anymore. I started getting involved in some other stuff, going to the gym, different things like that. But, playing basketball for me is like there's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it. So for me not to be able to play anymore, for me to kind of like hang up my shoes, so to speak, was kind of heartbreaking, but I was trying to be strong about it, right? But then, well, then I met Michelle. And the rest is history. And I'm happy again.
Oh, that's a good story. I like that. Michelle, tell us, okay, what is Granny Basketball League? How big is it? How many teams are there? What ages are the players? Just give us a little bit of background about it.
Oh gosh. Well, the league it has totally transformed over the past decade. I have been looking back at our records from, say, 10 years ago, and now we're more than three times the size that we were a decade ago. And with the addition of the Toronto Chill, and no doubt it's going to continue to grow, not only up north, but all over the nation. So we're really excited about that. Right now, we have 52. Well, I think as of Thursday night, we'll have 53 teams and
Whoa.
nearly 700 players across 10 states in the USA and now in Canada. So it's
Right.
really an exciting time, and it is so rewarding to get to the court and see all the women having so much fun.
Oh, that's so cool. And what ages are the players? What age
Oh,
range?
well, Granny Basketball is a league for women of a certain age. You need to be 50 or more. And I think we have 4 or 5 ladies in their 90s who are
Whoa.
playing,
Wow.
and close to 100 ladies in their 80s, as well as 70s. I think most of our players are in their 60s when we last took a look at the distribution of ages. And then we've got a lot of 50s. But, you know, if you talk to the ladies in the different age groups, and no matter where they are, some had an opportunity to play when they were young, and some did not.
Okay.
And even those that did play a lot, they're playing more basketball now than probably they did, and for many more years. Being able to continually play and not age out, if you will, like you do in high school or college. So yeah, it's really been a nice outlet for having fun, playing on a team, and getting back out on the court.
Oh, that's so
Really, really
cool.
cool. And I'm curious, Michelle, were you the one who started with
No,
this idea?
no,
How
no.
did
The concept for Granny Basketball was developed in 2005 by the founder, Barb Trammell, and her father had been a longtime girls basketball coach, and she was helping him write his memoirs and write a book. And so when he was describing one of the first games that he had seen back in the 1920s, and hearing the prissy rules and kind of the more gentler games, you thought, oh, that'd be perfect for someone in the upper ages looking for some exercise that would be fun. I mean, for some people, going to the gym and getting some exercise is not so much fun in that. It's kind of more of an individual thing. But she really loved the idea of playing basketball in her later years as she had in her earlier years. So I think four teams got put together quickly. They dressed as women did 100 years ago, with their bloomers and white tops and sailor type collars, and they played in a fundraising tournament. They created a tournament, and the ladies had so much fun they didn't want to stop. So it started with 4 teams, and now we're up to about 53 teams.
Wow, huge, huge. And as I understand it, you both participate in these teams, correct? I mean, I know Vicki is a coach, and you, Michelle, you're the ED, but it sounds like you both are also players. Am I getting that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
and
yes.
and Michelle's a referee as well. And
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
she just certified gentleman by the name of Hamish. So he's the first Canadian certified granny basketball referee. She just came
Oh,
up a couple weeks ago to
Oh,
Toronto. We had a game and a couple games, and Michelle's a player as well. And the really cool thing about granny basketball, and I was just on another call with the Toronto Parks and Recreation folks who are very interested in trying to help us sort of promote this activity a bit in
mhm.
Toronto. I was on with another player, Jill, and Jill was talking about how she approached the game, which was she had not played a lot of basketball in her youth. In fact, more than half of my team never really played basketball. And here they are having the time of their lives, learning some moves, learning some things that we teach them, and being part of a team, doing something completely different than they've ever done, and just having a lot of fun, really. So
Wow,
it's
wow.
pretty neat.
So
Really,
cool.
really cool. And
Vicki, how many times a week do you play? Sorry, Luigi.
no, go for it. Go for it.
Me,
Both of
so
you.
we
How many times a week do you play? Yeah.
Oh, Gal, so we practice. So we don't play unless we're doing charity games, which we've done
Okay.
3.
Okay.
We don't have anybody to play against. There are no other teams except for us. So we play
Great.
amongst ourselves every Thursday night,
Got it.
here in like downtown Toronto, and we have a gym that that we use regularly, and it's fun. Yeah, it's good.
And how about you, Michelle?
Uh, it's kind of seasonal. Usually we practice or play weekly starting in January. Like we start a new league season in January in our area. And so we'll practice in January, start league games in February. So there's like 11 teams across Kansas. And then we will sometimes leapfrog a little bit and play some teams in Oklahoma that are nearby. And but that kind of wraps up by May, and we get ready for graduations and Mother's Day and things like that. And then we go into the postseason. So those of those of us who like to play in tournaments, there's a tournament in Iowa in June. We have a national tournament in July, and this year it will be in Fort Worth, Texas. And just kind of a newsbreaker, we're going to have a record number of teams there at the national tournament. 29 teams registered to participate. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we also have a tournament in Kansas in September. It's a part of the senior games. Iowa and Kansas tournaments are part of the senior games here in the United States. But it's a nice fall tournament. And there are others that are held during the year. But then we kind of switch gears to recruitment and fundraising events in the fall. Those kind of things happen throughout the year, but that's kind of what we focus on in the fall and get ready for the next season. And then before you know it, it's another year.
So is there like tryouts? Do people?
Well, we're kind of not a well. I think some teams are more competitive than others. We discourage tryouts, but we will have like a learn to play event where we will have our ladies in their uniforms, invite interested ladies who may want to play or learn how to play to come, and we might do a little scrimmage and show them how the game is played, and then invite them out on the court and play with us. The court's divided into 3 sections. It's 6-on-6 play, and then get them out there a little bit, see how they like it, learn about the rules, and so we might hold a couple of those in the area. Let them come back, bring a friend, which they typically do, and see if they want to join a team or start a new one.
So cool. When I turn 50, I'm coming down there. I'm gonna play.
Yeah, come on.
You should.
And so on that note, very curious to know, how do people get involved? Like, do they reach out, or I mean, it sounds like there are a few different events throughout the year, but how do people know about this, and how do you reach out to folks?
Well, I might take a respond to that first. Every single day I am receiving contacts from people from all over, including Calgary, Sudbury, Toronto. I just sent Vicki a prospective player today. So, we're just getting contacts all the time. And if there's a team near, try to find out where they are. If there's a team nearby, we'll connect them with a team captain or coach. And then if there's not a team nearby, we work with them, let them know how they could start a new team, and get them the resources and information that they need, and hopefully they can get something started. It's a bit of a challenge when you're kind of all by yourself, kind of like Vicki is right now with one team, but I know it's going to grow soon. She'll have some teams to play. And the nice thing is, I think that the Toronto Chill has done the hard work of being the first. So it'll be a whole lot easier to be the second or the third. And that works out real nicely when you've got more teams to play and help with officiating, keeping score, and things like that when you're not playing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure this is going to gain a lot of it. I mean, it sounds like a lot of people are already interested. It's just a matter of folks kind of just gravitating, right? And getting in touch with Granny Basketball League and
I mean,
just
we do
growing.
it all across Canada, right? Like every province and territory. It was so cool.
Absolutely. We're not going to stop until we have one in every province.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
But I do want to pick up on what Michelle said. It's actually easier than you think to start a team. Michelle and the rest of the executive are absolutely, come back with emails immediately, very, very supportive.
Mhm.
Gave us everything we needed. It's an inexpensive activity. It's not an expensive thing to do. Um, Maybe your gym time, depending on where you are and what kind of contacts you have in your community, maybe you can get a gym for cheap, but maybe not. So that would be the thing, would be if you're in a community that is really struggling for enough gym space, but again, some of us, have grandkids who maybe go to the public school and you just need a basketball court. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full Olympic court or something special like that. But and yeah, Michelle is right. We have done the groundwork. I am more than happy to talk to anybody in Canada that is interested in starting a team in their community. I think I have the experience now that we've done lots of things right. We did a couple things wrong. It's okay. That's how you learn, right? Yeah, I think that most communities in Canada that want to have this kind of activity for their senior women. I also want to just do a little shout out maybe to our media here in Canada who've been unbelievably, shall I say, supportive and generous to me and the team.
Mhm.
We've been on the CBC radio. We've been in the Globe and Mail. We've got some serious sort of people like yourselves interested in what we're doing. I think partly because, let's face it, we have an aging population. We have a lot of what baby boomers, whatever you want to call them, all the different,
Mhm.
but this is a growing population. And if you think of myself as just an example, we're not ready to sort of knock off our shoes and sit down and start to knit things or something like that. We don't want to be in front of TV all the time. We want to be out there in the community. And one of the really special parts of what we do, and I know the teams in the United States are doing as well, is we get out there in the community and we have a group coming up in November that it's an adult, it's like an adult, kind of like a daycare for folk with like this developmental challenges and so on. So they go there every day and they have activities and they learn stuff and they do fun stuff like every day. And that organization, needs funds. And so we're going to go and do a big fundraiser for them in November. It's already laid on. We're just, putting all the pieces together. But what that does for me and the ladies on my team is it gives us that sense of, we can still do stuff that's different, that's fun, that includes people, that brings people joy. I think you used that word in your introduction, and I'm so glad you did, Luigi, because this is about joy. This is about not only bringing joy to ourselves and our own families, but to bring a little joy out there in the world. Because, people think it's fun. They come out to our games and they just think it's fun because we're not great basketball players. We're not really trying to be great basketball players. And that's the game and that's competitive. And so here we are. But, what we're trying to say to people is, you know what, you don't have to be the best at something. And just because you're 50 or 60, you don't have to stop. You can keep going with something that brings you joy because guess what? When you're being joyful, chances are you're going to be bringing a little of that to the people around you. And we're just thrilled to be able to do that.
It's so
Lovely.
cool. When as soon as I heard about it, I mean, our actually our social media girl found the Granny Basketball League. She's like, "You guys got to check this out. This is so cool." And I was like, this okay, first of all, this is amazing. And I wish like my parents honestly were involved, but it hasn't made it
Well,
to that side of Canada yet.
let
But
them know. Tell them to give me a call.
yeah, I know we need to. I feel like I mean, I'm from BC. I feel like there are so many people that would be so excited to join or create a team, right? Like a Granny basketball team over in BC.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
Obviously all across Canada, but there's a lot of active people in BC for sure, right? Like around Vancouver and the Kootenays, are very outdoor sportsy type people too.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah.
And many different ages as well. I mean, at some point we did talk to someone who was part of an what is it? It's very similar concept, except it was for males, for men, right,
Mhm.
of the same age group. So it's really amazing to see that we haven't you know, there are more people out there doing the exact same thing. We're just on our way to find all of those folks, and so it's really encouraging. So anyone who's listening, if you want to again slam dunk your way through, you know, through life, even if it's not slam dunking, but you're just doing it, maybe you just get in touch with Granny Basketball League, right? They're on Facebook, and you can also visit their website, which is grannybasketball.com, right? So of course, in any time that anyone wants to join, it sounds like it's pretty easy to do. So it's really just calling them and participating, just showing up.
Absolutely. Yep.
And Vicki, I also I love what you said about not, you know, turning 50 and not just like sitting at home and knitting. And like totally, you know, if you want to do that, that's great. But
Of course.
right, but there's like I went to a yoga class. So I go to like yoga and spin and hit classes and stuff. And there was like 70-year-olds in my classes last week. And I was like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like that is inspiring that you're in your 70s and you're still coming to these spin classes and these yoga classes and stuff. So I think it's so cool. And what Luigi was saying too, about FitFellas, because it's so important, like physical activity and keeping your body moving and keep staying mobile and staying agile and mental health and like being in the community and around people and all the support. It's like all of it. You put that all together and it just like your quality of life just gets skyrockets, right?
Absolutely. It is.
You were spot on, Dana. That is so true. And especially having 13, 14 years experience with this and just the friendships that you make, long-term friendships. And we've gone through a lot together now. We have lost some friends along the way. Just like you're saying, just enriches our lives having these friendships and relationships. And then like being able to do good within the community and help raise funds and offering wholesome family entertainment. We can get really corny with this, and at the same time, we've got some teams that are pretty darn good, So we've got the full spectrum, and I think one of the things that really hooked me to granny basketball when I first started playing, I was in my early to mid 50s and just in the throes of work, and it's really stressful, and I remember one day leaving the office and going to the church gym is just a few blocks away and going down the steps, and before I opened the doors to the gym, just hearing the laughter of the women just wafting through the doors and greeting me when I opened those doors to come in and play. It was a whole difference maker. And I'll never forget that moment of opening those doors and going in and being among friends, having fun and all that. It was just such a rewarding experience, and I know for everyone they've got their own hook, but anyway, it's really a neat experience.
I want to jump in and tell my quick
Of course.
story.
Of course.
I went to see some granny basketball games in Minnesota on Michelle's urging, and I came back to Toronto and I went to a little group that I go to every Monday night. It's a group of women, and I started talking about this, and I could not stop talking about it. And they all said to me, "But Vic, we're not sporty like you. You know, we didn't play basketball." So I actually want to do a little bit of a plug for anybody who thinks they're not sporty, because the way our team works, anyways, maybe Michelle is right. There are some teams, especially down in the United States. You come, we teach you how, we bring you on slowly. And the joy of this is that the way the game is set up, you're not doing a lot of running. You're not allowed to zone, so you're only actually in 1/3 of the court. So you're not even
Really
going
cool.
very far. There's no jumping allowed, which is very safe, right? It helps with the safety aspect, and there's no running, no jumping. Basically, those are the really safe aspects of it. And I want to underline this because this game has adapted the game of basketball, which we've all seen, and we know how rough it can get. People going for a layup and then they land on the floor, trying to make, a shot and things like this. that is not a good thing for somebody my age, 64 years old. I can't land on the floor. It's not good for me. So this
Mhm.
game is really designed to help women stay upright, play, have fun, but not be in that sort of dangerous position. So I wanted to mention this because two things really: the safety aspect of the game and how it is been designed and been care and every year the rules are looked at carefully and oh, can we tweak that a bit to make it a bit more safe or a bit looser here, a bit safer
Mhm.
there. They work. The Granny Basketball League executive do such an amazing job of keeping this all going so beautifully. This is one of the reasons they're growing the way they are. But it's the safety aspect, that really attracted me, made me see that this is sustainable. This is something I can come up here to Toronto. I can start this. I can promote it. I can push it. I can make sure people try out the game because it's sustainable. We're not fooling around here. This is something that we can do for women of a certain age that is safe for them to do. They can fall down. It happens. We call that a granny down, by the way, and everything stops, and they have to go off for at least one play, I think it is, and because we want to make sure they're okay, right? But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you knew about that part of it.
Oh no, thanks for sharing that. I think what I love most about both of your stories is just that concept of community, right? Like it's just like just hearing each of your voices talk about this, there's just so much joy, so much comfort, like it's coming from such an authentic place. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that. And I think that's going to resonate a lot with people, right? It's that feeling that um you can be part of something. I don't know if you guys have ever, if you ladies have ever heard that quote, but it says usually when you're in a crowd and you share your story and someone says, "Oh, me too," immediately all barriers break, friendships are formed. So it's really finding all of these things that you have in common with others and
Mm,
going out and just having fun. And I
mm,
think that's just that speaks to the spirit of play, of staying
mm.
active, right? So
Yes.
very wonderful stories.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
And
Thank
I
you.
You're welcome,
Thank
of
you.
course, of course. And I think with that, I think we've reached a solid point for the end of our episode. Is that right, Dana?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So just want to thank everyone for tuning in today. We're your hosts, Dana and Luigi. And if you want to learn more about Michelle and Vicki, please follow Granny Basketball League at facebook.com/Granny Basketball, or you can visit their website at www.grannybasketball.com. In addition, please be sure to follow our Instagram at Let's Move Canada for more updates and head over to our website at chfi.fit to learn more about our mission. Don't hesitate to DM us if you have any suggestions for guests to come on or if you want to come on to Let's Move Canada. And stay tuned for next episodes. See all of you next time. Take care.